Welcome to the Turkey Hunter Podcast with me, your host, Andy Galliano. In this podcast, I share with turkey hunters just like you how to have more turkeys on your hunting property and how to have more successful turkey hunts. I teach you how to do this with tips and interviews with turkey hunting pros, wildlife management tips, and entertaining turkey hunting stories. Tune in weekly as I share proven and simple strategies to help you have more success this turkey season. Make sure to head over to www.iamturkeyhunting.com to subscribe to receive free turkey hunting tips, tactics, strategies, and product reviews. Also, please visit and like my Facebook fan page. Go to Facebook and search I Am Turkey Hunting, and also feel free to post your turkey hunting photos from this past season and let us know where and when you killed your bird. For all of you Twitter users out there, please follow me on Twitter, where my handle is @TurkeyHitman, and I will be sure to follow you back. And now, for this week's show. Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the Turkey Hunter Podcast. This week we have part 3 of episode 7, our interview with Harold Knight of Knight and Hale Game Calls and Sheffield's Ultimate Hunting television show. In this episode, Harold's going to share with us some additional safety tips for turkey hunting on public land. He's also going to share with us his story of his last successful turkey hunt and what made that hunt successful. And towards the end of the interview, Harold is going to share with us his thoughts about the Second Amendment and those organizations that support our right to bear arms and those organizations that further our interest of turkey hunting, such as the NWTF. So sit tight. Listen into Harold's interview. I look forward to seeing you on the other side, and I hope you enjoy it. You mentioned a couple of safety tips about hunting public land. You mentioned that you don't use any decoys, and you try to get away from other hunters and just be careful kind of from start to finish. But what other special tips do you think really apply more on public land than they do private land?
Well, you've got to be a lot careful on. Don't go out there and certainly don't take your pan and your turkey head and try to slip up on a gobbler. I don't recommend that at all on public hunting ground. And I avoid using red, white, blue colors. A lot of people say, well, I ain't stupid enough to do that. But I look and you see somebody got a white T-shirt on with camouflage. Right. Then they got the white T-shirt. Next thing I know, they got a red ear. The ears is red from maybe they've got hot or walked along with the ears real red. A white T-shirt. Next thing you know, somebody said, well, there's a gobbler's head. That's white. There's something red. Just things like that I avoid as much as I can. And do not try to fool somebody by calling. In other words, don't gobble to them. Say, let's have some fun and watch that old boy over yonder, or watch them people over yonder. Watch that young hunter yonder. Let's see what he does or she does. You can't do that. Don't do that.
Right.
That's asking for trouble. And you gotta use some common sense. And that's not common sense to try to fool somebody to chew a gobbler. Next thing you know, somebody comes from the other direction you're not looking at. So,
right.
That's just a common sense thing. But another thing too, on public hunting ground, I'm going to tell you something. I've always practiced being courtesy. If somebody's there calling and I know he's there, if he's out there and he's got a better chance than me killing that turkey, let him have it. That's great. He deserves that turkey. And it ain't the end of the world if somebody kills a turkey that you don't kill. Let him have him. Just be safe and go get you another. And another one.
Right. That was actually on my list of things to ask you, was about the courtesy thing, because where you hunt public land and where I hunt public land, there is a lot of competition, and people are very protective of their turkeys and get their hair on the back of their neck off.
Oh yeah.
Stood up on end, when they think somebody's in there hunting one of their birds, and will shoot up in the air to scare a bird off and all kind of things. And it's just what you said. First of all, there's no turkey worth getting shot over or shooting somebody over, first and foremost.
That's
and
right.
then number two, there's no reason to be a horse's rear end over a turkey. You can go find you another bird somewhere.
That's
and who knows, the one you find when somebody else is hunting the one you wanted to hunt, the one that you find may be the hottest one and may end up going for a ride back home with you. So you probably didn't lose out on too much anyway.
Yeah, that's right. And another thing too, another thing I like to do just on public ground or just hunting. Lots of people would go turkey hunting. They don't have nobody, don't teach them how. Lots of kids would love to go turkey hunting. Mm-hmm. They don't have nobody to take them. They don't have no place to hunt, and they don't know how to do it. Each year it seems like I end up with one or two of those, and that's a very rewarding thing to see these kids get out there and hunt. And if you ever get him started, buddy, he'll be there the next year too, because it's something about the turkey hunting that grow on you. It's very addictive, and that's kind of addiction I like them to get, turkey hunting.
Keeps them from getting other kinds.
That's right.
Well, we're going to wrap up here. We're getting close to going on an hour, and I don't want to keep you too late. It's getting late. You've been on a tractor planting all day, and I know you got to be tired. But what I'm doing, Andy, I'm out there getting ready for these turkeys for next year. Got to plan early, don't you?
Well, what you do, we put out food plots getting ready, and today I've been putting water holes. It's so important to have places for these turkeys near the water, and make it convenient to them. And you can get you a water hole. Don't cost a lot of money. Get a bulldozer and make you a water hole or a backhoe and tractor, and make these water holes. Put it around food plots and things. And next thing you know, you're going to see an old hen of 8 or 10 little ones riding. That's what I love to see.
Well, can you share with us the story of your most recent successful turkey hunt?
Let's see. The last turkey I killed this year, I hunted for 40-something days, and I hadn't hunted by myself a day. Wow. And I was here at the house, and there was a thunderstorm coming up, pretty rough. And I I had my clothes on. I'd been hunting that morning, so I got my old shotgun, and of course, where I live, any direction you go, you got turkeys. Mm-hmm. So I went out, and the wife said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going turkey hunting." She said, "You see that cloud?" And I said, "Yeah, and it's thunder and lightning." And I hit the woods, and I'm talking about every direction. That lightning had turkeys gobbling. Mm-hmm. So it was getting closer, the clouds get closer, so I set up on an old logging road, and I hunted these turkeys with somebody 2 or 3 days before. And I know these old turkeys because I could tell where they're acting. So I sat there, and the leaves was out good this end of the season. I hid there, and I sat there, and I called, cut right loud and called, and 2 big gobblers about 100 yards stepped out on this old logging road, come walking right to me. One of them was strutting every second, and the other one was looking. One of them was a looker. He was all looking. Right. He wasn't strutting. He was just a looker. And I said, I guarantee them 2 old gobblers. I sat there, and they got about 45 yards, and that looker did come out about an extra 6 inches, and he flickered his wing. He didn't put or nothing. He just flickered his wing and turned and started walking off. And I know the party's over. So instead of shooting the strutter, and he's about 45 yards, I knew I could kill him at open road. So I just shot the looker. When I walked up there, he had spurs almost an inch and a half. I'm sure that the other one was the same thing. The strutter, I shot the looker. Right. But that was 2 old turkeys, and the only reason I got to kill them turkeys, it hadn't been lightning and thunder, and I probably never killed them. But that lightning and thunder, if you could duplicate thundering, oh my gosh, you talking about a locator call, you'd have something there.
I think that's the next thing that Knight and Hale needs to come out with is the thunder locator call.
Yeah, some guy told me one time at a seminar, said I was blowing an owl call. And he said, I can make any turkey gobble with slamming my car door. I said, yeah, but you can't pack that car door with you where I go. So, but anyway, that hunt. I had to tell you about that hunt. That old turkey, I was hid good, but he still picked me out. And he wasn't coming down that road. He'd already been down that game too many times. And when they got them East half spurs, buddy, I'm going to tell you something. Them turkeys are a lot smarter than 2-year-olds.
Yeah, they're not stupid. That's for sure.
That's right.
What do you think is the one key to success on that hunt? If you had to point to one thing and say this one thing, action or whatever it was that you did that was the key to making that a successful hunt, other than getting out of the house?
The key was the weather. The weather, that storm coming up and there's thundering and lightning made those turkeys react to gobble. And they wanting to hear a hen sound. And when I cut to them and called, I think I had a mouth call, they just stepped right out and was coming right to me. But that one old looker, he just seen me sitting there, and I thought I was hid, but he could see something he didn't like, and I knew it. And the experience I had over the years, see one when he puts his neck out a little further and turns and flicker, I call it sort of flicker his wing, just straighten his wing up, I call it, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. And when he done that, I knew the party was over. It was what was fixing to happen. That strutter was going to do the same thing.
Yeah, they speak to each other by body movement.
Knowing when to shoot, knowing when the game was over, knowing that's the closest he's going to get, that was the key to that success there. It wasn't a great call, and it wasn't nothing but just knowing that turkey had done seen me and he'd had enough. And I recognized how he acted, his posture, his body changed, his head, everything just changed. When they see you and they get teed off, they might have that old fat and pretty red head coming in, and all at once that thing turns just an old, ugly-looking red, not that pretty bright red and stuff. Better watch out. That dude done seen you something. Yeah. And I knew the party was over then, so. And I tell you what, I shot that turkey and killed him. And buddy, I picked him up and I taken off to my ATV. I had ATV at the top on a Polaris, windshield and stuff, and it rained like pouring. Man, it was pouring down. A big rain. If I'd have waited 5 minutes, I don't believe them turkeys would have come on out, in that rain stuff.
So you beat the rain then?
I beat the rain.
You were able to kill him before the rain hit.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, sure did.
Yeah. You mentioned getting out there when the weather's coming. That's actually, in my opinion, a pretty good time to go hit the public land too, because you're not going to have as much competition, but the birds are still there.
Andy, that is the time. Listen, on public hunting ground, in the land between the lakes, several years ago, I went next to the last day of the season. It was a thunderstorm, and I remember all the people I knew around was hunting. Everybody killed a turkey that day. It was a terrible lightning and thunder and raining. Everybody killed a turkey. That was next to the last day on public hunting ground in land between the lakes. The next day, I had a boy that wanted me to take him. It was as pretty days I ever looked at. That storm had done passed over, bright, big dew on the ground, still morning, just perfect. I never heard but one turkey. I bet I heard 25 or 30 the day before.
Wow.
And I was in the same area. So that tells me I don't know nothing yet about turkey hunting. I'm still learning.
It's more fun to go on those pretty days.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the time that you spent with us today and the one last thing that I want you to share with us is let us know how we can go about learning more about night and Hale game calls, where we can pick them up, and tell us a little bit about the TV show as well, when it airs.
All right, our TV show airs 3 times a week on the Outdoor Channel. In Alabama time, it'll be on at 8:30 on Saturday night. That's prime time we have. On a Tuesday afternoon and a Thursday afternoon, I believe is what it is. I can't tell you exact time for those, but the main time is 8:30 on Saturday night on the Outdoor Channel. It's called Ultimate Hunting. When Sheffield's Ultimate Hunting, that's one of the big sponsors. David and I, and sometimes we have other people on the show. But then you can find Night and Hale, most of you sporting goods stores, Bass Pro, Cabela's. I think a lot of you good sporting goods stores around Birmingham. I know several stores down that way has it, all across Alabama. And I'm sure you can find them online too, and I can't tell you exactly where to get them. I don't think you have a lot of problem finding them.
They're quite common.
I wish I could, that everybody bought one. I wish I could go with him. I've always said that ever since I said everybody buys one. I wish I could just go with them. Because I love to be around people, especially hunters. And let me tell you something in closing, Andy. Hunting has been a way of life for me all my life. And I see so many people now that it might not be too kosher to think they're in style to hunt. I don't mind telling people I like to hunt. I'm not ashamed of my heritage that I like to hunt, and I'm not going to hide it from nobody. I love to hunt because it's been a big part of my life. And I tell you something else. Right here in the United States of America, but I'm going to tell you something. We need to wake up and we need to stand up for our Second Amendment right. The right to bear arms. And so many people, I think, would like taking it right away from us. And don't be ashamed to tell people you like to hunt. Don't be ashamed to tell people that you believe your Second Amendment right to bear arms. And I tell you what, I'm a firm believer in that.
I agree. I appreciate you sharing that. And I think if the people who are opposed to it are vocal and they don't mind sharing their opinion with you about their feelings on it, then you have no reason to be shy about sharing your opinion.
Absolutely not. Some of the fondest memories I have in my life is hunting with my friends, my family. And, that's fond memories. And I have no problem with somebody that don't like to hunt. That's their business. But I don't want them to take my privilege away from me or try to.
Right. Well, thank you for bringing that up. That is a very important point, and I think that a lot of listeners to the show can get involved in things, whether that's the NRA or some other organization that supports the Second Amendment rights. And don't forget to support the NWTF and all those other organizations that make hunting possible for us, because they're responsible for what we're doing.
I'm a charter member in the National Wild Turkey Federation, 1972. And of course, I'm a life member. And I'm a firm believer in the National Wild Turkey Federation. I think they've done great, and they're still doing good. And I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. I love that organization. I'm a member of lots of organizations, Ducks Unlimited, a lot of others. But it seems like the National Wild Turkey Federation and the NRA has just been two great organizations, and there's a lot of good ones out there. And I wish we could do something, Andy, for the bobwhite quail like we did for the wild turkey.
Right.
Our quail, I can remember as a young boy coming up, finding 10 or 15 coveys of wild birds around my house. Now you don't see any. I remember the Quail Unlimited tried to, do it, but you had a resource there that was dying out so much a year. The turkey population was growing so much a year. Which one was the most popular, because you had the resource there was a turkey. But I wish we could get quail. Yes. I love the quail hunt. That's some fond memories I have there also.
Quail hunting is a ton of fun, and the meat on a wild quail is unbelievable. Some of my favorite wild game.
Yep.
by far. But well, thank you again, Harold. I really appreciate the time and you sharing some knowledge with us and teaching us some more about hunting public land. And it's just a pleasure having a true gentleman and a legend in the hunting industry on the podcast with us. I thank you again.
Andy, thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
All right. You have a great night, and I'm going to get you to hang on the call with me here, and I'm going to end the recording now.
All right.
That is the end of our interview with Harold Knight of Knight and Hale Game Calls and Sheffield's Ultimate Hunting. Be sure to check out Harold on Sheffield's Ultimate Hunting on the Outdoor Channel. Check your local listings for that. And anytime you're in the market to buy a turkey call, be sure to check out Knight and Hale Game Calls. Be sure to tune in to next week's episode of the Turkey Hunter Podcast, where I'll be interviewing the sporting chef, Scott Lasath, who's going to share with us some awesome turkey recipes and teach us how to cook that wild turkey so that it's not so tough and dry. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you next week. I know you have choices, and I appreciate you spending some of your time with us. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. You were just listening to the Turkey Hunter Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please go on over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. And make sure to head over to www.iamturkeyhunting.com to subscribe for free turkey hunting tips, tactics, strategies, and product reviews to help you have a more successful turkey season. And stay tuned for upcoming episodes on hunting afternoon birds, how to film your hunt, and the breeding cycle of hens, as well as some guest interviews. Thanks again for listening. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you sharing some of it with us. See you next week.